near-death experiences.
Get him out of the water now!
Nasty out.
Stop that up. Look out!
Who controls the fate of the Deadliest Catch fleet when the Bering Sea turns violent? As Typhoon Nuri barrels in with unforgiving force, the captains and crews face not just nature's wrath, but storms within their ranks. Injuries, chaos, and unexpected disappearances threaten to unravel their hard-fought seasons. How far will they go to protect their catch and themselves when every decision could mean the difference between survival and disaster?
What we got? No. On deck. Where's Tyler? Get those extinguishers! Tyler?
I'm confident that we put that fire out with our CO2 system, but
In a world where the sea demands respect, what secrets are hidden beneath the waves, waiting to surface? The answers may change everything you think you know about life aboard these legendary vessels. Typhoon Nuri threatens the fleet. Who doesn't know Deadliest Catch? For nearly 2 decades, it's been the raw, unscripted chaos of Alaska's crab fleet, men battling the most violent seas on Earth for a shot at fortune and survival. But even by Bering Sea standards, this season was different. It wasn't just the ice or the rogue waves. Something darker was brewing. A typhoon, yes, a real one, was stalking the fleet. Its name was Nuri, and it didn't just slam into steel and salt. It pulled apart crews, tested captains, exposed addictions, destroyed friendships, and left the decks soaked in more than just seawater. This isn't just another storm story. It's the year the crab season nearly came undone. The Bering Sea has never been kind, but this time it's downright cruel. The sky darkens and the horizon blurs as monstrous waves rise like giants, crashing down with thunderous fury. This is no ordinary storm. It's a tempest that tests every ounce of skill, courage, and sheer willpower of the fishermen who dare to work these treacherous waters. Aboard the Wizard, Captain Keith Coburn faces a decision that teeters on the edge of madness and necessity. One of his deckhands has been injured during the earlier grind, and with Nuri's deadly advance, there's no time to wait. The storm will soon make any transfer impossible. And yet, this transfer must happen. Now, against the backdrop of 30-foot swells that churn like a living beast.
we tested these bottom sensors to see if we can find a pattern as to the temperature that they like down there. If my theory's right, we'd shoot them right through here, east to west. That chain of events should have never started. We never used the thruster at sea. We turned the thruster on because some dip decided to set gear with 3 shots on it.
Coburn orders a mid-sea personnel exchange that few would dare to attempt. The crew scrambles to piece together a makeshift raft, an improvised vessel born from ropes, barrels, and gear, crafted to carry the injured deckhand safely between ships. Every knot, every lash must hold against the cruel toss of the ocean. The waves aren't just obstacles, they are merciless, relentless giants intent on swallowing the raft whole. Time is ticking, and failure is not an option. On deck, chaos reigns. Howling winds gust over 50 miles per hour, turning the world into a violent, swirling nightmare. Waves slam into the Wizard with the force of freight trains, green water crashing over rails and flooding the deck into a slippery, unpredictable battlefield. Visibility drops to nearly nothing as salt spray mingles with rain, whipping against the crew's faces like icy needles. Every step is a gamble. Every move demands focus sharper than steel. In the middle of the wild storm, Freddie Mugai becomes a symbol of pure toughness. Out of nowhere, a giant wave hits him, slamming him into the launcher so hard it feels like his bones might crack. For a few seconds, everything stops. Then, drenched and hurting, Freddie stands back up. He's bruised and exhausted, but he's not giving up. Out here in this storm, quitting isn't an option. The crab quota has to be met. The catch has to make it home. The crew keeps pushing. They drag heavy gear and lift crab pots with arms that feel like they're on fire. Thick cables swing wildly across the deck like wrecking balls.
Big one!
The floor is slippery with seawater and blood. They work in near total darkness, surrounded by the storm's endless howling. It's a non-stop warning from nature. You're not safe here. Still, the Wizard pushes ahead, somehow making progress when it seems impossible. Every pot they pull up is a small win, a way of saying, we're still here. The Typhoon wants to take everything, the ketch, the boat, maybe even their lives, but the crew's strength and determination turn it into a fight the sea won't win easily. This night on the Wizard is a raw testament to the deadly dance between man and nature, a haunting reminder that out here, survival is never guaranteed. The Typhoon is more than weather. It's a force testing every fiber of courage aboard, and the storm's story is far from over. Crisis and instability aboard the Saga. The Saga wasn't just battling the brutal Bering Sea this season, it was trapped in an even more dangerous storm inside the ship. Captain Elliot Neese, once the dependable leader everyone looked up to, was falling apart. Quiet rumors of drug use and strange behavior had turned into hard truth, spreading a heavy feeling of worry across the boat. You couldn't ignore it anymore. Elliot's hands shook when he thought no one was looking. His choices made less and less sense, and his temper snapped like thin ice under pressure. The crew could feel the change. What used to be a well-run boat was falling into disorder. Elliot's anger started with small flare-ups, but quickly grew louder and more frightening. He would bark out confusing orders, then disappear behind the wheelhouse door without warning. The crew was left alone, guessing what to do in dangerous situations. The usual safety routines fell apart. The new guys, already struggling with the harsh sea, were lost. Even the seasoned deckhands had trouble keeping things under control. Then everything blew up. A simple mistake while stacking gear, normally just an annoyance, set off a firestorm. Elliot exploded in rage and shoved a crew member on deck, right in front of everyone. For a moment, the ship went silent, frozen in shock. Then shouting broke out. Fists clenched and the trust holding the team together shattered instantly. Freddie Mugai, fresh from the disciplined world of the Wizard, stepped into this chaos. He was used to order, teamwork, and clear rules. Now he was surrounded by tension so thick you could feel it in every word and glance. Safety was a joke. No one was calling out dangers, and steel hooks flew inches from people's heads. The Saga wasn't just drifting through icy waters. It was sinking into fear and confusion. The crew's morale, once their biggest strength, crumbled fast. Talk turned bitter. People whispered in corners, questioning Elliot's ability to lead. Some said he wasn't even fully there in his mind. The fear grew louder in everyone's thoughts. How long until something truly terrible happened? Rumors spread through the ship like cold wind. Would Elliot be replaced before the next trip? Would the company step in? Or was everyone just watching him lose control while hoping not to get hurt in the process? Some thought the breaking point was coming soon. Others quietly braced for disaster. One thing was clear, this wasn't just a rough patch. It was a full-blown crisis tearing the crew apart. Out in the freezing wind and crashing waves, the Saga's crew realized a terrifying truth. The biggest danger wasn't the storm outside, it was their captain, breaking down right before their eyes. Every reckless move, every confused command pushed them closer to disaster. The question hanging in the salty air was whether the crew could survive the storm inside their ship before they even made it through the one outside. The Time Bandit battle's aftermath of the typhoon. The fierce Typhoon Nuri left the entire Bering Sea fleet battered, but the Time Bandit faced a particularly harsh aftermath. After enduring a grueling 16-day trip in brutal seas, the crew was already strained when they learned offloading would be delayed at the cannery, a ripple effect of the storm's disruption on port operations. Held too long in the holding tanks due to these unavoidable delays, thousands of pounds of prize king crab began dying. The precious catch, worth tens of thousands, started turning belly up, a devastating blow after so much hard work. By the time the Time Bandit reached port, nearly $48,000 worth of crab had perished, slashing the crew's earnings and dragging morale to a low point. Adding to the strain was the crew's makeup this season. Inexperienced greenhorns replaced some seasoned deckhands, including Captain Jonathan Hillstrand's son Scotty. The mix of new faces brought challenges in teamwork and efficiency, especially under pressure. During one chaotic sorting session, the crushing weight of an 800-pound crab pot turned tragic. Jonathan's nephew Philip caught his hand between the massive pot and the steel sorting table, resulting in a serious injury. Bloodied and in shock, Philip's pain underscored the physical dangers the crew faced daily, risks intensified by the exhaustion and tension left over from the storm. With the injury demanding urgent medical attention, the Time Bandit altered course to St. Paul Island for an emergency evacuation. The mood on board shifted from hopeful to heavy with worry. Jonathan, known for his tough exterior, revealed a rare moment of vulnerability as he supported his nephew through the ordeal. The emotional toll weighed heavily on the crew. What should have been a triumphant end to a hard-fought season was overshadowed by loss, both of precious catch and crew well-being. The legacy of the typhoon extended beyond the seas, leaving scars on both man and machine. Despite these setbacks, the crew remained resilient, determined to finish what the storm had tried to break. But it was clear the battle wasn't just against nature anymore. It was about holding together as a family amid the wreckage left behind. As Typhoon Nuri unleashed its fury across the Bering Sea, leaving fleets battered and bruised, the Northwestern faced its internal test of strength and leadership. With Edgar Hansen sidelined, Jake Anderson found himself thrust into the captain's chair for the first time. Tasked with navigating the ship through the storm's chaotic aftermath and steering the final crucial crab strings of the season. Under the watchful eye of his mentor, Captain Sig Hansen, Jake was given full responsibility to helm the Northwestern solo. The pressure was intense. The crew was weary from the relentless seas, and the shadow of the storm still hung heavy. Expectations were high, but so were the risks. Every pot hauled was a chance to either claw back losses or fall further behind. The beginning was rough. The first strings Jake hauled yielded disappointing numbers, well below the quota averages that the crew needed to hit. It was a blow to morale, and the tension on deck was palpable. But Jake kept his composure, refusing to let the setbacks shake his focus. His calm under pressure revealed a side of him not often seen during his earlier seasons as a deckhand. Learning quickly from each haul, Jake adjusted his approach, tweaking the timing, positioning, and coordination of the crew. His leadership grew steadier as he balanced the fierce demands of the storm-tossed sea with the complex logistics of crab fishing. With each pot brought aboard, the Northwestern edged closer to a season-saving haul. Then, finally, the tide turned. The last few pot strings produced a robust catch, exceeding expectations and filling the tanks with nearly 500,000 pounds of king crab. The crew's spirits lifted as their hard work paid off. Despite the harrowing conditions they had faced, from towering waves to near constant threat of disaster, the Northwestern emerged with a haul of 425,000 pounds. The financial reward reflected their perseverance. Each deckhand was set to receive $53,000, a significant payout that honored their resilience in one of the most brutal crab seasons in recent memory. For many, it was a hard-earned victory, not just measured in dollars, but in the triumph over nature's wrath and the challenges of leadership under fire. For Jake Anderson, this moment marked more than just a successful haul. It was a turning point, the transformation from rookie deckhand to a captain in the making. His ability to hold steady under pressure, inspire confidence, and learn swiftly under Sig Hansen's guidance proved he was ready to take on greater responsibility. The season's storms tested everyone, but Jake's steady hand at the helm ensured the Northwestern was ready to weather whatever came next. Amid the devastation left by Typhoon Nuri, Jake's redemption story stood as a beacon of hope, a reminder that even in the darkest storms, leadership and grit can steer a course to survival and success. The Wizard's final gamble in Freddie's absence. The Typhoon had already torn through the Bering Sea fleet, beating up boats and pushing every crew to the edge. The Wizard, known for its strength and toughness, took the hits like the rest. But just as the crew began to recover and hope for calm, a new kind of trouble appeared. This time not from the sea, but from within. It would test Captain Monty Coburn and his crew in a way no storm ever had. The Wizard had recently seen a change at the top. Captain Keith Coburn had passed the wheel to his younger brother Monty, With the worst of the storm behind them, but its effects still hanging in the air, Monty was under pressure to lead the crew through one last critical trip. Every crab pot mattered now. Each one pulled in was the difference between a solid paycheck or a disappointing end to the season. But before the Wizard could even leave the dock, trouble started. Freddie Mugai, one of the crew's most experienced and trusted deckhands, was missing. The clock kept ticking, and there was still no sign of him. Monty tried calling around, hoping it was a misunderstanding. What he found out wasn't easy to hear. Freddie was still sitting at a bar, drinking, long after he should have been on the boat and ready to go. Tension filled the air on board. Leaving a man behind, especially someone like Freddie, was a hard choice. He had been a steady hand through rough times. But the sea doesn't wait, and neither could the Wizard. With no time left, Monty made a tough call, one that had to be made. The boat would leave without him. What came next was rough to watch. Monty gave the order to pack Freddie's things and leave them on the dock. It sent a loud message. No one is above the boat, not even a veteran like Freddie. This was crab fishing, a brutal world where timing matters more than feelings, especially after just surviving a monster typhoon. To fill the sudden gap, Monty turned to Jerry, Dirty, a former deckhand from the saga known for his grit and toughness. Called in at the last minute, Jerry was an unexpected wild card, a man with a rough reputation but undeniable skill. Exactly what the Wizard needed to salvage its season. With Jerry on board and the Wizard finally underway, Monty decided to fish the old grounds one last time, placing everything on the line. The stakes couldn't be higher. After the typhoon's devastation and the chaos that had rocked the crew, this final trip was more than just a catch. It was a chance at redemption. And then, something remarkable happened. Despite the lingering effects of the storm, the Wizard hit a string of hot pots, each yielding over 100 crabs. The catch surged beyond expectations, energizing the crew and turning a trip that could have ended in disaster into a resounding success. With the catch climbing closer to 1 million pounds, spirits soared. The hard work, the sweat, and the internal struggles paid off. When the Wizard finally reached port, the haul was undeniable. Nearly 1 million pounds of king crab, enough to secure each deckhand a staggering $62,000 payday. The Wizard had not just survived the season's brutality, it had risen above it. Amid the chaos of a typhoon strike, the injuries, the absences, and the internal struggles, the Wizard claimed the crown as the season's top boat. For Captain Monty Coburn and his crew, the victory was bittersweet. The absence of Freddie was a stark reminder of the human fragility beneath the armor of crab fishing. The crew had faced nature's worst in internal demons, yet they had prevailed. In a season marked by fire, storm, and heartbreak, the Wizard's final gamble paid off, etching a story of resilience and grit into the annals of Deadliest Catch history. But beneath the celebration, questions linger. What toll has this relentless fight taken on the crew? And with Freddie's absence still unexplained, one thing is certain. The sea's grip on the Wizard is far from over. The storm may have passed, but the real battles, both on and off the deck, are only just beginning. The Deadliest Catch crew shows us that beneath every storm, both outside and within, there are stories of struggle, courage, and secrets. What do you think happens when the cameras stop rolling? How much do we understand about the unseen battles these fishermen face on and off the waves? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more gripping stories from the edge of the sea. Thanks for watching.